Hello, my name's Alexander Clowers, and this is my demo of my TurtleGraphics assignment. I'm in Cybersecurity Digital Forensics Group D. That's all in the README page, but I thought I'd just mention it out loud, just in case. The TurtleGraphics assignment is in my portfolio. Here's my portfolio. It is under their assignment TurtleGraphics program. I've got the main class, which is what we copied from the documents, and then a few methods for afterwards, some commands. We're starting with the main class. All of the imports are here, so you can see the main class, and then just calling out a few of the methods before that we'll see in a minute. Main is working. I've got all the frame, the turtle, it all comes up, and the about method, which I will show right now. I had it off just for it makes it quicker when I was to stare on my code. So clicking on it right now, it should jump up and do that little dance. Yes, it shows the OOP and just object-oriented programming. But for the rest of the demo, I think I will just make sure this is as a comment, just so it doesn't jump up every single time. But yeah, excuse me. Starting off with a few of the commands, so pen up and pen down, essential really. I've got them right here. So case pen down, actually first I'll start with how I process the commands. So I've just got a message printing out what you typed in as a command. It's just easier for the user if you want to see what you come up when you print it out. And then also I just parse also the command for afterwards the parameters to make sure that I can get the values and use them afterwards. But in the case of pen up and pen down, how it's just one command. I don't have to set anything else, so we'll ignore this. But yeah, I split it on the space. So whenever I type, for example, forward space 100, that 100 will take the value that afterwards I use to go forward. But I'll show that afterwards later on. Pen up and pen down, back to this. I use this pen status method that I did right here. Well, this is pen down class. It's just with this, the variable is pen down that I defined, which starts off as false. So at the start, the pen isn't down, so it means nothing will write if you move the turtle. And the is pen down, which that's what the code asks, the question asks. Yeah, it asks the question of is the pen down to see if it should draw or not. And here are the setters, so set pen down and set pen up. I will use afterwards in the code. So of course, set pen down is true, so the pen is down, so you would be writing. Set pen up is pen down is false, so you wouldn't be writing anything. The turtle would just be moving. So going into the main, here's the pen status, set pen down. That's for pen down, and what it does is it draws. So the set pen down is to say that the draw should stay on, because without this set pen down, without this method, the pen would go down, but then go back up again. So it's good to keep it for if we want to keep typing in commands. And for the pen up, the same thing. Pen up, I use the pen status set pen up and draw off, so it stops drawing. So I'll show that right now, just to show how it works. It's easier just showing it. So right now the pen should be up, so if I go forward by 50, nothing happens. That's absolutely normal. And yeah, as we can see, the command type was forward 50, so it shows me the command I'm typing. Now if I do pen down, excuse me, pen down, command type was pen down, so the pen should be down right now, and I go again forward another 50, and it starts drawing right now because the pen is down. Same thing if I do pen up, because the pen is down, now it's up, so now nothing should happen. So if I do forward 50, there you go, there should be nothing drawn. So that's fine. And while I'm here, I'll also do the clear command, which clears any writing, and reset command, which just resets the turtle to its original point. Those are right here. Case reset, I just reset it with the method I was given with in the LBU the spec A library, and same thing with clear. They're both working. Next up would be the reverse. So the reverse is over here. Reverse is a bit more complicated because it could or not depend on another parameter. So in the case that you just type reverse, I've made it so it just turns around. So I'll show it right now. It's like reverse, and it does just a 180-degree turn, a bit slow, but a 180-degree turn. And it prints out no parameter, so it rotated 180 degrees by default. Because I didn't put any parameter, I didn't want it to reverse by a certain amount. That's fine. Using the command parsing that was here at the start, if you type in reverse space the amount you want it to reverse, it will reverse by that angle, which is shown right here. This line right here, it gets that in that list, that second parameter, because the first one would be reverse and the second one would be the value. But of course, as a string, I've got to convert it into an integer. So integer parse int and then grab that value and just name the angle and then rotate. I chose right. I'm sure you can do right or left. Rotate right by that angle, so it rotates by that much. I'll put it into practice right now. If I do right, reverse 80, or reverse by 80 degrees to the right. It basically does the same thing as the right command, but it also works because the reverse by default it does 180 degrees. It's more useful in that way where you want to reverse it by that amount. So yeah, speaking about that, here's the case left and case right. They work similarly to the reverse. So it checks if you give a parameter, but not like on the contrary to reverse. If it doesn't have that second parameter, it will jump out an error saying missing parameter because you can't just say right. If I type in just right, it will give me a missing parameter because I need to turn it right by a certain amount, by this angle x that I'm using again the parse int to get. So I'll use left and right. So I'll do left by, for example, 60. Left. Turns left by 60 degrees, and then right, I'll turn it back 60 degrees to where it was. There you go. Right and left working perfectly. This try and catch that I haven't explained earlier in the reverse, this is just to check if the parameter is indeed an integer. If it isn't, it will jump out invalid parameter. Format must be an integer value. It must be an int value. Same thing here in reverse. So I'll test it out in both. So if I do reverse t, for example, it will jump out invalid parameter. Format must be integer value. Same thing for right. Right y must be in value, and then left y must be integer value. So that just checks for that simple error. Users doing the runtime exception, which just checks if there's that certain error, error of different parameters to what expected because it's expected integer. And it just checks if it doesn't pass that check, then it will jump out this. If not, then of course it'll go to the try and it'll do the angle and it would actually turn right by that amount that you set it to. Next up would be the color commands. The color commands are a bit simpler because with the library that was given to us, there's just a set pen color command. So you just set pen color, and then there's a list of colors. I just chose very simple ones: green, orange, white, pink, and blue. So if I just type in green, the pen will turn green. If I type in orange, orange, etc. And by default, it's red. I haven't done a case red, but I just did these other colors instead. So I'll test it right now. If I first I'll start with the pen down, of course. Pen down, and I do forward by 50, it's red. But if I type, I'll do it in order and I'll test them all out. Green. So I'll type green, the pen should change green, and I'll do forward by 50, and it's green. Next up, orange. Orange, forward by 50, and it's orange. Case with white. I will clear and reset, just so I don't have to turn the turtle around. And if I type white, the pen should still be down because we're still the same. Yeah, it still keeps it still keeps the set pen down on. So if I do forward now by 50, it is white indeed. And then finally pink, just type in pink, and then forward 50, it paints in pink. Oh, and blue, excuse me. Finally blue, forward 50, blue. And all the commands that I type are here at the bottom, like before. Unless the command was not recognized, where we jump invalid command, followed by the command that you typed. For example, if I type hello, that is not a command, and it will tell me invalid command hello. That is checking in general if the command is recognized or not. So those are the colors. Yeah, right, reset and clear, I explained it earlier. Moving on to, validating. So validating, I showed it earlier, in these right and left ones. It checks if, the length is 2, and if the list length showing the number of parameters you put in, so of course the value of the command itself, which would be left, right, forward, reverse, anything, plus its integer value, which would be of how much you want it to go forward, how much you want it to go right, left, etc. So it checks if it has that length. If it passes, then it does the actual moving left or moving right. I'm just showing left because I've got exactly the same code in all of them. It's just using try and catch with a number format exception. It's right here as well. This is the code, if it works, that it would do. And here's the exception. Invalid parameter must be an integer value. If it's not an integer value, like I showed before. Right Y would not work because format must be integer value. And that is the same thing for right, for left as well. I've done it for reverse as well, in the case where you input, in the case where you input something that's not an integer. But of course, the reverse has that if you don't input a parameter, it will rotate 180 by default, so it won't jump out an error. It will just rotate by 180 degrees because it's reversing. And for the forward, of course, that works as well. If you just type forward, it won't do anything because it's missing that int, missing the parameter. But of course, if you type forward t, which doesn't make any sense, invalid parameter, format must be an integer value. So that is working perfectly. And the last thing that I have in my code is the triangle. So I've done the equilateral triangle and also the further triangle. I'll start by this one because the simple triangle, I didn't have to do another method like I had to do for the draw triangle. So first it checks if you have one parameter. So this equilateral one only works if you input one parameter, because it will choose that size as it will choose that value as the length of all sides of the triangle. And then it's easy to calculate. You just have to get the integer like we've done in the previous bit of the code. Go forward by that amount, which is the length, of course, of the triangle, and then turn left by 120. 120 because of how the Java works. Normally the rotation would be 60 degrees on the inside angle, 60 degrees on all angles. But you do 120, you do 180 minus 60, and it gives you that 120. So just forward, turn by 60 degrees or 120, again the length, and then turn by 60 or 120, however you want to call it. I'll show that right now. So if I will put pen down though, just so it's easier to show. And I do triangle 100. It will draw that equilateral triangle. So all sides are the same, length is the same. That's a fairly easy triangle to do. And if I get same thing, it does the error check. If I do triangle Y, it will say format must be integer value. And it will check the length, of course. So if you give one parameter, it will do this equilateral triangle. And if you give in 3 parameters, it will do the further triangle, which I will show right now. The further triangle, just you pick three lengths of the triangle, and it will automatically calculate the angles and draw it for you. But of course, it's complicated because not all length values could make a triangle. Some are impossible to do, like we'll show right now. So I'll jump over to the draw triangle program. I just imported everything from the main just because it's a habit of mine, even though I don't use it here. So I have this public class draw triangle. First thing is to check if it's a valid triangle. So it gets the 3 values, the 3 parameters that you put, and it does a simple math law that A plus B has to be higher than C, A plus C has to be higher than B, B plus C has to be higher than A. Otherwise, the triangle cannot be built. It is impossible. So first, it does that check. I might show the check now, because of course, if it's not a valid triangle, it will just print out cannot construct the triangle, and then that's it. It won't return any angle, so nothing will happen. So I'll just show that. That's just the error check. For example, if I do triangle 1, 3, 60, that is impossible. And I will do cannot construct the triangle with those values because it is impossible to construct it. In the case where it can construct it, so all of this bit, I just use a simple math equation. I just isolate the angle using the inverse of the cosine. I think that's how you say it in English. And then just simple equation, b squared plus c squared minus a squared, all of that divided by 2 times b times c. That's for the first angle. Then the second angle, it's just isolated. The isolation is different of the angle because of how cosines work in math. So it'd be a squared plus b squared minus, a squared plus c squared minus b squared divided by 2 times a times c. And that would give you the second angle. And then the third angle is just simple trigonometry law. The three angles of the triangle have to be 180 degrees. So you do 180 minus the two angles, and that should give you a third angle. I don't think it's necessary to build the triangle. I don't know if you need that third angle, but it's probably better for the code to show that in case you need it for anything else. And it returns a list with those three angles. So angle 1, angle 2, angle 3. So going back here, where does it return? So first we get all the integer values of the parameters given by the user for the sides for when we do the forward. So it goes forward that amount because those are the sides of the triangle. And here it's just calling that method, the draw triangle method. So I just called it helper. If you do double the angles, so a list of doubles of those angles, and then just the draw triangle, which is the class right here. And then it does the further triangle of A, B, and C. So it will do the check, it will do a check if you can do it, and then it will calculate it if it's possible. So in the case where you can calculate it, it just assigns angle 1 as the first value of this list, angle 2 as the second value of that list, and angle 3 as the third value of that list. And as you can see, yeah, one of the angles isn't even used, but it's still included in the code. And then here you just go forward by that set amount. Then you've got to make sure you get the correct angle for that length. So A would be from A to B, so that would angle to correct. So that would be like 180 minus angle 3. And then B would be going from point B to point C. So afterwards you'd have to calculate the angle, which would be 180 minus angle 1, and then afterwards go forward by that third amount C. And of course that catch of integer value, which I showed earlier. Just to put that just to show how it would work, I will do pen down again. And I will do a triangle that could be possible to make. So triangle 50, 60, and then 90. And as you can see, it draws a triangle. So I can even try it with other values that, of course, that corresponds to that trigonometrical law of a plus b equals c. It has to be higher than c, b plus c has to be higher than a, etc. I'll try it with 20, 60, and then 75. Yes, that should work. And it does another triangle there. Bit of an ugly one, but it does it. So that works perfectly fine. And that would be everything that's in my code. I've showed the invalid command, all of the colors, the missing parameters. I'm not sure if I've explained it, but I might explain it again. So yeah, if you input, for example, triangle 3, 4, just giving 2 sides, it will tell you invalid command triangle 3, 4. Yeah, and that would be everything in my code. It is all in my GitHub, and the link will be on the document.